Hi, Kunal, and welcome to Spotlight.
Hi, happy to be here. Hi.
Our pleasure. In fact, Kunal, you are a serial entrepreneur. You've successfully exited one of your businesses. You have a new venture. You're an author, a mentor, an investor. You have many avatars, right? So, which one is your favorite?
Uh, I don't know actually. I think it's a combination of these personalities that keeps me going, I guess. There's something to learn from, inspire for, and there's something in everything. So I think it would be boring to just do one thing and not experience so many other flavors of life and work and experience and interaction with other people, I guess. So probably I love all of them. That's why I keep doing it.
But you've seen it successfully through the entire life cycle of starting something of your own and then taking it to fruition. Do you want to speak a little about that journey?
So, my first startup was in India, is in India, still heavily involved actually, but um, doing startup is stuff anywhere in the world. Okay, so there's no question that compared to doing a job in a corporate company, in any corporate, doing a startup is much harder because you have to do a lot and everything has to, all the stars need to be aligned for your startup to work out, because 99% chances are people don't survive the first 3 to 5 years, right? They shut down due to variety of reasons. So I think for me personally, I am and was highly driven when I started this about 10 years ago. I've been working very hard with the rest of the team, and we've gotten luck on our side as well that we survived, because there were always moments when we some things, if they didn't work out, we might not have been here today. So those events come in every startup entrepreneur's journey. They're very hard. It's not easy to repeat it. Doing it again would be a big challenge, and I'm not sure if I can rewind the clock. Honestly, I'll be able to do it again. It will be very hard, even knowing all the outcome and everything. The journey you go through is very challenging, especially doing a startup in India, because obviously in India there is no ease of doing startup. It's or running a business. It's just too challenging. Besides the startup challenges, the admin bureaucracies, etc., are not easy either to deal with, and there are lots of challenges that come through that. So it's hard. It's been a great journey. I'm grateful to everyone who helped participated in it, and we got lucky. We worked terribly hard. We got terribly lucky as well. I don't think without a combination of luck and hard work you can get there. These two things have to go hand in hand. And the journey was highly rewarding in terms of the learning we get from it. Money may come or not, money may stay or not, but the learning is incredible. I don't think I can get it anywhere else. So last 10 years in my life, I've learned way more than I learned in the previous before that, or I might learn after that. So learning is the most important thing I think the startup journey is worth. And enjoyed the journey. Don't care for milestones as much. I'm okay with all the outcomes eventually. Have to be willing to fail, have to be willing to accept any outcome. It's almost like how we say in spirituality and now in the tech driven world, that it's a quantum of possibilities. It's not just one or two. It's not just success or failure. There are so many things in between. So many other things could happen. One thing could lead to another. I think somewhere when I started accepting that anything is okay, I don't care for the end result. Eventually, I just want to enjoy the journey and the process. It became even more easy and worthwhile. But yeah, it's not easy. It's being an entrepreneur in India is really hard. And I look back and if I go back 10 years ago, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it again.
And I'm sure you've mentored, so many startups and so many budding entrepreneurs. What is top of mind when they come to you and they want to speak with you? What is it that they're really looking for guidance on?
So there is a myth in the startup world, I think, that funding is a sign of success. If you get funds, then things would get going for you. Reality is, again, out of the 99% startups that shut down, many are very well funded. or were very well funded. There are so many examples you can see around. There are companies, 70% of companies that do seed funding, which is $3 to $10 million or so, they don't get to the next round. Many of them shut down in the next couple of years as well, right? So funding is not a sign of success. Let's be clear on that. Funding just means that you got a runway to build your dream, to build your business, to solve the problem you want to solve. It helps. It's needed in many businesses which are not bootstrapped, but it's not the only thing. So most people come to whom I interact with end up feeling or asking that, can you help us with funding, or can you help us get funded and all. So I do end up sharing with them, what do investors look for, how should you try and do it, etc. But make sure you understand that there may be two routes in your life. One is with funding, one is without, because majority people don't get funding, and funding is a double-edged sword. Sometimes you get so much money that you end up over diversifying, wasting resources. You're not focused on the goal anymore. Your investors can take you in wrong directions. Investor founders fight lead to shutdown of companies. There are many packages that the funding brings. It's not easy to manage for everyone. So so I think funding is what most people generally ask me for. But I think the bigger question that I try to bring them down to is that what is true motivation? Why do you want to do it? Other things would follow. They need more mentorship, guidance, maybe some overviews of the world, where it's going, how it might work, than funding. I think that's what people value more. That money comes, will sort everything out. But reality is that their inner motivation and many other validations are more critical to them, which they value less, but they value funding more. So that's a myth and something that goes around in the circles. But yeah, that's how the world works, I guess. That's a fruition of capitalism in some sense.
So, the mentorship is so critical to getting your fundamentals in place, that support in place while you're going through the journey. And while mentees reach out to you, what do you think makes for a good, healthy mentor-mentee relationship? Because the investment is from both sides, right? So a mentor is giving time, a mentee is seeking, but what makes this relationship successful?
So I think maybe a couple of points on that. One is from the mentor side, I think mentor needs to be less judgmental. Don't try to conclude things. Everyone has their own life, their own luck, their own journey. So try to respect that and try to respect entrepreneur's opinion. If mentor is not suited for the mentee for whatever reason, because the person doesn't know the domain or the person don't feel you can help them, then let them know. Don't try to give unnecessary input or advice, or unwarranted, solicited, or irrelevant inputs, I guess. That's from the mentor side, I guess. From mentee side, I guess the things they should try and do, one is identify the right mentor they are willing to listen to. Secondly, do listen to them, because I feel that sometimes it happens that mentees and the wannabe entrepreneurs come on and they have a thesis in mind, they want to validate it. But the moment you feel it's not getting validated, or it's going the other way, or there is constructive feedback which is critical, they start getting defensive. So not being open to listening to the feedback. Look, as a mentee, you've gone to the mentor. Mentor may talk a lot of sense, mentor may talk no sense. That's your interpretation at that point in time. Least the mentee can do is listen to everything, try to absorb. And if mentee doesn't agree with something, which is fine, he or she could reject it. Just say, look, I don't agree. That's fine. But you don't need to convince a mentor that why the mentor is wrong and mentee is right. There is no need for that. You've gone to the mentor with a problem or with some discussion. Here is or her feedback out. Choose to follow what you want. That's what entrepreneurs are all about, right? Entrepreneurship is you follow your own gut instincts. You don't try to be someone else. You try to be yourself. See if it aligns. See if you can learn from others. See if you can adapt a bit. See if you need to pivot a bit. But otherwise, the least a mentee can do is listen and not be defensive, even if it's a wrong feedback, even if it's a feedback you don't agree with, because many times it's just a point of view. Mentor is looking at it from a different point of view, mentee is looking at it from different point of view, and generally ideally the mentee would be at 6 feet operational level, mentor might be at a 60,000 feet very high level, and they would look at the world differently. So it's okay to agree to disagree, etc., but don't get defensive, don't get try to get argumentative. It happens that many times people are not open to feedback and they're still coming for it. So that's what I guess mentees could do.
Okay. As much as I'd like to continue with the conversation, but before wrapping, I'd love to know, as an investor, personally, what are the top three criteria that you have in mind when you're looking to invest?
So I think the number one thing is we look at everyone looks at I guess is the founders, the team. How driven they are, how all in they are into the business, how well they understand it, how well they are willing to learn and evolve. Because look, one thing is that the founder needs to be driven. They should have all in. They should not have another job going on. It should not be a part-time venture. It should not be that they'll get back to another job or they'll get to an MBA school after this startup experience, etc., etc. So founder needs to be at a position where he or she would lose everything if it doesn't work. That's number one requirement. There should be no safety net. There should be no plan B. They should come with a vision, with a view. We'll make this work, and this has to work. There is no other world in which we will have anything else. Right? So that's number one. The benefit with that is it's just like in circus. If you see, whenever they put the safety nets, people fall while jumping around. But the moment you take away the safety net, nobody falls. So that's number one thing we look at: founder, how driven they are, how willing to adapt they are. Because whatever your plan is today, I can guarantee no plan stays as is. Plan has to evolve because the world changes, things change, people change, etc. So your plan is a starting point. It's not what will actually hold. I've not seen a single business plan being delivered as is. It has to evolve, adapt. Founders are able to do it if they are driven, if they understand this, if they're open to changing, etc. So that's the number one thing we look at: the founder, the drive, the fire in the belly, the hunger they have to making this work. That's number one. Number two thing we would look at is the market size. How big is the market that you're trying to address? It could be small today, that's not a problem, but it should be growing fast or be able to grow in the next few years. Because by the time you build your business, if as long as the market has grown, it's okay. You will also, everyone makes hay in the growing markets, basically, somewhat. So think about e-commerce in 2010, think about electric vehicles in 2020, think about payment solutions in 2015. There were times when some markets grew faster than others because there were tailwinds. So the market today and its ability to grow, it should not be a shrinking market. Shrinking market is, think about telecom, VAS. It's a shrinking market. Out of 33 operators, telecom providers in India, let's say 6 years ago, now we have only two or three who are barely able to survive. So that's a shrinking market. It's not a growing market, right? So market has to be good, maybe small, but potential to grow. Okay. So, and it's always hard to evaluate that because how do we know 2025 which markets will grow fast? That's a bet investors take, right? Smart investors will have their gut feeling, intuition, some things which will tell them that look, esports would grow, virtual reality would grow, maybe cryptos, blockchain could grow, IoT would grow, electric vehicles would grow. There are some things you can see, but some you can't. Some are really crazy. But you bet on the market. That's a number two thing. I think third thing we look at is the market landscape. So who else is in the market? Are you competing with Google, Amazon? Are you building your own market in a small marketplace? And can you compete? Is there regulation in there, etc., etc.? These are that's the number third thing. Fourth thing, which ends up being looked at, is a business model. How will you make money? How will it become profitable? Though that is changing now with the new age companies and all getting listed who clearly claim they will never make money, they'll always lose money. Think about Uber, think about Paytm. Unit economics is not as hot anymore, but it's still for fundamental investors, value investors, they would always look at the positive unit economics because the losses cannot be funded forever in life. So these are 3-4 things I guess I look at.
Wonderful. It's really good to have you and for you to share such rich experience. Really appreciate you spending time with us today. And thank you so much for joining us.
Sure. Happy to be here. Thank you.